two lands, two legends, both shrouded in frost and myth. One was born from ancient Greek imagination, Hyperborea. The other was rooted in the world of Elder Scrolls, Atmora, but their stories are uncannily alike. Atmora, which means Elderwood, is the lost continent north of Tamriel. It is the birthplace of the Nords and humans, and of Ysgramor, the legendary warrior who led his people to Skyrim with 500 of his companions. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because it is. The companions you meet in Skyrim are directly inspired by Ysgramor and his 500 companions. Their base, Jorrvaskr, is actually the oldest building in Whiterun, and it has a unique origin. According to legend, it's built from the very ship Ysgramor and his warriors used to sail from Atmora. After landing, they flipped the ship over and turned it into their mead hall. That's why it looks so different from the rest of Skyrim's architecture. By the way, Ysgramor and his 500 companions were not werewolves. That is a thing that only comes from 200 years before in Skyrim. Believe it or not, Atmora was once fertile, but now it's frozen and abandoned. Atmora was a land of fierce warriors, ancient magic, and great migration, a civilization swallowed by cold and myth. Does it sound familiar to its real-life counterpart? The ancient Greeks also told tales of a land beyond the north wind. It's Hyperborea. It was a paradise untouched by time, where the sun never set and the gods walked around mortals. At one point, many Germans also believed this. They believed in the concept of Hyperborea. It's a mythical northern Aryan homeland, suggesting that the Hyperboreans were divine beings who once ruled the earth. So basically, the light-skinned blonde people. They adopted several symbols with esoteric meanings. Just like Atmora, Hyperborea was also a place of origin and mystery, said to lie at the top of the world. Some believed it was real, others believed it's a spiritual symbol of human ascension. Atmora and Hyperborea are part of a broader archetype. It's the mist of a lost northern homeland. From Ultima Thule to Thule society mysticism, cultures across history have dreamed of a land beyond the known world where humanity began and may one day return. Atlantis lies to the west. Mu in Lemuria lies beneath the waves, but Hyperborea, Atmora, they lie above in the north, in the frozen crown of earth. In myth, this land of the gods is usually lost due to arrogance, sin, or a great cataclysm, kind of like the fall of Atmora. Besides that, though, this also sounds like the opposite excuse of what Germans had during World War II. So Germans believed that in the past it was too cold, which is why they weren't advanced compared to the Roman Empire, but during World War II they were more advanced to Italy, and they said because the climate was getting warmer. But that has nothing to do with Hyperborea. Both are seen as the cradle of civilization, Atmora for the nerds, Hyperborea for early humanity or divine beings. So they both also had an exodus to the south. The people of Atmora fled the frozen homeland Skyrim. In Hyperborean myth, the divine race departs from Earth or retreats into the hollow Earth or the astral realms. Others believed, such as the Thule Society, that the descendants of the Hyperboreans were the Germans and the Northern Europeans. In both myths, time flows differently. In Hyperborea, some said people lived 1,000 years. In Elder Scrolls, Atmora is a timeless, unreachable, frozen in myth. Some Elder Scrolls texts, mostly in the past, would hint that Atmora may not be physical anymore, like Hyperborea. It may have become a metaphor for something lost in us. But now, it seems like it is a real physical place. But in the past, many of the writers maybe had a different idea or approach to it. No known ship has sailed to Atmora and returned in living memory. Many believe that it's gone, consumed by endless winters. Others suggest it was never truly real to begin with. One Elder Scrolls quote is, "The North is not a place, but a direction of the soul." Although I would disagree with this. In the early 2000s, the writers maybe would have been going for that, but I now know the current writers in 2025, it's definitely a real place, but it could be both. So perhaps Atmora, like Hyperborea, was never meant to be found, only remembered. Some say perhaps Atmora, like Hyperborea, was never meant to be found, only remembered. From the frozen shores of Atmora to the golden light of Hyperborea, these myths remind us of something ancient within, the idea that humanity came from something greater, something now lost, such as Atlantis. Also, Hyperborea, like Atmora, is said to lie beneath miles of ice. So guys, to sum up the video, they're both frozen, distant, northern lands. So Atmora is a frozen continent north of Tamriel that is now uninhabitable due to extreme cold. In Greek myth, it's a paradise-like land beyond the north wind, Boreas, untouched by winter and inaccessible to most mortals. In Atmora, it's the home of Ysgmor and the Proto-Nords who colonized Skyrim, and Hyperborea was said to be an ancestral homeland of spiritually advanced race, sometimes credited in esoteric traditions like Theosophy as a kratom of ancient power. Atmora was the home of Ysgmor and the Proto-Nords who colonized Skyrim. Hyperborea said to be the ancestral home of a spiritually advanced race, sometimes credited in esoteric traditions like Theosophy as a cradle of ancient wisdom, and both of them were inhabited by a very light-skinned and light hair and light-colored eyes race. So Atmora is now lost to time and ice, few return, and most will never come back, and Hyperborea was often believed to have vanished or become inaccessible to the cosmic or cladomistic shifts. Both had spiritual and supernatural associations, so Atmora was said to be steeped in ancient magic with ties to shore, the Nordic pantheon. Hyperborea was connected to divine Apollo and in occult traditions often associated with higher planes of existence or spiritual purity. Both warmed to warrior people, so the Atmorans were fierce warriors. Remember, Ysgmor and his 500 companions, who were able to colonize Skyrim. Hyperboreans were sometimes depicted as peaceful sages, but also in some fringe and esoteric traditions, as capable of great feats and martial prowess. Of course, in modern times, some do claim that the Hyperboreans were related to the Indo-Europeans. If you know the Indo-Europeans, they were people who conquered a lot of land. I would suggest researching them, and they have the haplogroup that modern Europeans had and were said to be the most genetically related to modern North Europeans and Slavic people. Their home was the Caspian Pontic steppe, but they were said to be related to the Hyperboreans or had some ancestry to them. Both were tied to polar and cosmic events, so some lore and Atmora speculates the continent changed due to the world shift, like the convention or other mythical events, and the Hyperborea was said to have vanished when the Earth's axis shifted or during a polar reversal, according to some esoteric theories. Alright guys, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button. I've got a lot more coming, and I'm always working on improving the quality of these videos, so your feedback really helps.